I want to share this really cool auction that happened at Heritage this past week. An extremely rare event where I'm going to assume Heritage did their homework and made sure these rolls were legit, but true, untapped, unopened, old rolls from pennies all the way to half dollars. So I'm going to show you some auction results and what they sold for and compare that to to the gray sheet bid because I think you'd be shocked at what they trade for as a rate of gray sheet. So let's jump right into this first one. We're going to go pennies up to half dollars. As you can see here, this is a 1934 Lincoln cent. And you'll notice a trend here in that they only include one photo of the side of the roll, which is extremely unsatisfying because I think all of us want to see both ends to see what it, what it looks like. Is there any toning, the quality? I'm going to, obviously, they know it's a 1934, so they could see the date on one end. Um, Feel free to make comments below if they put years on this. I don't think they did. So the penny roll here, 1934, as you can see, is sold for $960. The gray sheet bid for that is 430. So traded for over two times gray sheet bid. The thing is, there's not many of these that trade and trade reliably. So I don't know how good a data gray sheet has. Obviously, things can trade above gray sheet and trade for retail value, but very interesting. Then next is 1943 War Nickel roll. Oops. So a $2 roll. Again, there's no other photos other than just a side look of it. Very frustrating, but sold for $720 versus gray sheet at 265. So, and there's a couple interesting ones at the end, so make sure to stay for that. Rosie dimes here, 1946, first year of the Roosevelt dime. Looks like gray sheet bid there was $235, so it traded for about two times. That seems to be a common theme. These things trading for about two to three times gray sheet bid. Uh, I kind of wanted to take a shot at this one, but man, I just couldn't justify $500 when you think about it. On $5 times 10 dimes per dollar, it's 50 dimes you would receive. $504 divided by 50 is about $10 per dime. Obviously, these assumed BU uncirculated. But the tough thing is for these, you have to get them graded. And therefore, the grading fee alone, I mean, even on the cheap end, 30, let's just assume you grade half of them, they're quality enough. That's $35 times 25 coins. You're spending $875 just to put a grade on them because realistically, uncirculated dimes raw will trade for very little. You have to get a grade on it to shoot them up to a high level. So the Washington quarter 47S, the gray sheet bid on that one is about 455. So this actually traded for the lowest as a ratio of gray sheet. Obviously, it traded above it, but not quite to the 2x mark. I'm going to assume these look legit. Again, feel free to comment below quality or kind of how they wrapped them in the past to know if they're real. Walking Liberties. This is one that went a little bananas, in my opinion. As you can see here, a 45S, Walking Liberty half, just crazy. For what it's worth, gray sheet bid there was 1,200. So this traded for 3.5 to 4 times gray sheet. And just to put it in perspective, so there's 40 coins in here. 5,760 divided by 40 is $144 per coin. I mean, obviously, 45S is a somewhat common year, but if you get a 67 or 67 plus in here, obviously it pays off. But if you get a bunch of 64s, which I feel are like the odds-on favorite, then you're not making money here. And the key question, comment below what you would do. Would you break this apart and grade it or preserve it as this version here? So I'm thinking this had to be some old guy that just stored all these rolls, must have passed away because there were just an unheard of amount of interesting rolls here of all denominations. Here's a Franklin 48, Denver. This one, gray sheet bids 470, so this traded for about 5 times. Gray sheet, and then a couple other interesting things here. A mint set, 1947. Traded for $5,500. Gray sheet bid is $1,500. The one thing I would say with this is it appears to be completely unopened. And I know there's a lot of mint sets that do trade, but most of the time they're opened. So obviously somebody took a little peek at it and made a choice that it wasn't worth breaking these out to grade them. The fact that this is unopened is clearly interesting and adds a premium. But goodness, I mean, that's a mighty high price when you break it down per coin. And then one other interesting lot on this was this, as they say, this is a lot. This lot is a great time capsule of American history. Original BU rolls of 1957 coinage housed in a bag from the Chase Bank. So essentially a quasi mystery bag of 1957 rolls and traded for $8,400. I don't even know how you would come up with a fair value for something like this, but I just saw it was a really interesting auction, something we just don't see very often. And like I said, comment below if you would break these apart and grade them or if you'd preserve them in the roll form. For me personally, I would actually preserve them because I just think nowadays graded coins are less rare, but original BU rolls is extremely rare. The only risk you run there is the fact that people will always second guess if it is, in fact, uncirculated. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed.